Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, everybody. We're going to get going here in just a second. We're going to go ahead and get these, bring our friends in on Facebook here.
Happy Monday. Hopefully, all of y'all had a great Mother's Day. If not, spend some time with your family. Unfortunately, our family are different states. So, and mine, well, one of mine's out of country. So, makes it a little challenging, but they know they're well loved, and just make sure you tell them hi and that you love them.
That's it.
So,
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Alan Rich. I'm the managing broker here at Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
my name is Ming Richardson. I'm the compliance broker for Maximum One Realty and Realtor Partners.
I'm really glad you joined us today. So we got a lot of interesting stuff we want to go over. Again, we're starting a little bit early this week because we got some classes coming up and things like that a little bit later. So we just kind of want to jump right into it today. So what we like to kind of start with are what are the most common inspection problems uncovered in new construction? And before we actually get into this, let us also kind of be clear about like the builders are holding a lot of cards right now.
Mhm.
We know that they really, really are. And so while I appreciate the builders and we have a great relationship with a lot of the builders, one thing that we're seeing is because they hold so many cards, sometimes we have buyers who are like, I don't need a home inspection. It's brand new. I don't need a home inspection. The county inspected it. And so I like to make sure that everyone kind of realizes that these are the common inspection issues on new construction. And so this is like I'm going to encourage you to encourage your clients. We need a home inspection, even on brand new construction.
If you think about it, right now with a builder building at such a fast pace because the supply demand chain, not every, I guess, supervisor in the subdivision are equal. So therefore, you may want to have your client inspect the property just because, the supervisor got a timeline they got to meet. The buyers are jumping up and down, and I get it. So,
but what I found kind of interesting is the number one most common issue is HVAC issues, and we're talking brand new systems and brand new houses. Why would that be the most common HVAC issue? And well, part of it is that sometimes ducts fall off, things happen like that. So it's not always necessarily big deals, but whenever things start working, HVAC issues are a big deal. And then the safety issues in there's all kinds of small safety issues, like in a new construction home, it's the nitpicks. It's the little details that really matter a lot. And so does that garage door sensor really work?
Yeah. We have one we just bought, and the supervisors swear up and down that it was working right before the walkthrough. It was because he had it open, but it would not go down when we did our walkthrough. So, but
after that, we have problems with finishes and then drainage issues. I'll be honest with you, we actually see a lot of drainage issues because new construction, a lot of times they're going in and they're just clear cutting the whole neighborhood, and then they're just pushing stuff over it, and you kind of think, gosh, this will flow this way, and then it doesn't. It flows back into the house. So this is actually a fairly common issue.
Absolutely,
is having drainage issues. Same thing with structural problems. Now hopefully the structural is being picked up and caught on by the building inspectors, but we're finding that about a third of the time that's showing up on new construction inspection.
Just remember, Albany County with COVID and basically overworked and understaffed. Yeah. So therefore, they're doing what they do a very quick visual check, and therefore it may not be the correct items.
Yep. Now, the new jobs market came out, and jobs is really, really strong. And I like to point this out because, when it comes to especially commercial real estate, but even our economy, the thing that really drives our economy is jobs. And so even though we may be seeing things going on with the economy for different issues right now, the fact is that the job market's really, really strong. And so regardless of everything else going on, when jobs are plentiful, that's also part of where inflation is coming from right now.
And yeah, and I was telling my husband the other day, I mean, we love Chick-fil-A, okay, bottom line. And a meal for that is now $10, whereas before it was $7. I'm not knocking.
Bash
I'm
on
not
God's
knocking.
chicken. I like God's chicken. So,
I'm not.
everything
I'm
costs
just
more. We
saying
know
that-
inflation's a big deal.
I'm just saying that I see the price of grocery, that where I shop is going up, and it's because of higher demand for salary. So, there's got to be adjustment.
Mhm.
So that's where we are. And, what I thought was interesting, the news reported that in March that they have said 1 out of every 5 people that left their job actually regretting leaving their job. So I thought that was kind of
But
interesting.
however, real estate is an industry where a lot of people are moving to, and glad that they came. So that's good for us too.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to share some of the current market data that we're seeing, and so this comes from Redfin. They pull a lot of real estate data, and so what we're seeing is right now median sales prices are up 17% year over year, which is, we've been running the same way. We've been saying that even though we're seeing higher interest rates and that kind of stuff, we're in the spring and summer buying season right now. So things, especially here in Georgia, that's going to continue to be hot and heavy regardless of what's going on. That being said, we are starting to see some softening in other places, kind of thing. And so, one of those is impending sales. So, and we talked about this. Well, we've been talking about this, where we expect to see property values aren't going to drop, but the number of sales are probably going to go down. We're going to see the volume of transactions declining, and you can see right here we're down almost 4% year over year from last year on the volume, on the actual number of sales. And this is kind of what we're seeing at the brokerage level.
Yeah, and that is due to largely that the seller is also a buyer.
Yeah.
And they're having a hard time obtaining property as
well. And you can see that right now new listings of homes were down about 6%. Which was down from last year. So, new listings are down. And so we know that we need more listings on on our homes. This is where we sit on total listings for sale. And so you can see that we're down about 18% from last year, which was down 28% from the year before. So we're down about 50% on where we were just 2 years ago on the number of homes that we had for sale. That's where, just the bottom of supply versus demand, way more demand than we have supply for.
And realtors, please adjust your business, because this is going to make this market that much more competitive. And honestly, during pandemic, we have probably the highest enrollment of real estate agents that came online.
So homes are sold a median of 16 days on the market. And so we're still seeing that the vast majority of homes are still selling very, very quickly. However, and we're still seeing about half of homes are sold above list price. But what we're seeing we're starting to see a trend where some sellers are trying to come in at the top of the market. And we're seeing where those folks are actually struggling. They're having a harder time, because if you try and we're seeing sellers try and go for the juggler. And they're going to the extreme top end on their price point.
They're just hearing from their family, friends, and say, hey, look, I put my house on the market and I got 20, 30,000 above asking. The thing is that, at that point, your neighborhood or the area you're in is at the top of this listing price. So when you try to jump to $20,000 to $30,000 more, it's not going to happen. Not only that, the interest rate is so much higher than December. So as Alan and I talked about earlier at the end of December, was that for every point of interest rate, will jump from 3 to 5, it's $50,000 worth of purchase power that the buyer just have lost.
Well, the other issue here is that what we're seeing is that group of sellers who come out overpriced. You've got 2 weeks to get a full price offer. If you don't have a full price offer in 2 weeks, you're not getting a full price offer. Nope. At that point, they have to be ready to take a discount. And guess what? We're seeing the number of listings that have price increases shooting up. Okay, it's up over 2020, 2021. It's up over 2019 right now.
And you can see that red line is actually around this time is when the price dropped a little bit, but we're seeing the opposite. And this is going to have an impact. And this seller, please educate your seller. Let them know if you're not getting any traction or any offers, even though you have a lot of attractions, the house is priced too high in the buyer's opinion.
That's
in
what's
their
going to hurt.
eyes.
Yep. All right. So no news right here. Home affordability is near its worst on record. So we're seeing, and a lot of that is driven both by property appreciation as well as by the mortgage rates. So, we hit a new high interest rate of 5.5%. And so, there's some new data out there that says 95% of our U.S. markets are unaffordable on there. And so, we're seeing where home affordability is a really big deal. Now, what does that mean here in Atlanta? Well, you can see that here in the Atlanta area, in 2021, you need to make in 2021, you need to make around $48,000 a year to afford the median priced home. Now, a year later, you got to make $68,000 in order to afford the median home. We saw a price increase of around 21, almost 22% in property values last year.
Mhm.
And so that for that entry level, for that medium priced home a year ago, you needed $1,200. For that medium priced home, which is today, which includes the change of the interest rates as well as the property appreciation, you need $1,700. So we're talking about for that medium price point around.
So that's almost a $500 jump. So you're talking about monthly payment. This is not your down payment.
Right.
Okay.
Now, if you look at it, now this also breaks it down by state, and statewide, it's a little bit different number. So you can see that here in Georgia, for this, for the city of Atlanta, for the Atlanta proper, it's 368, 380, something in that range. And so, but for overall for the state of Georgia, it's around $300,000. If you just take the average APR in January to now, we're talking about an increase of around $250 more a month. It is kind of what we're seeing, kind of statewide. So somewhere between that $250 and that $500 a month range is where, depending on the price point, depending on what's going on, we're seeing that kind of pricing is what's really kind of driving what we're seeing in the market, which is still property values increasing, but we're seeing the number of transactions really starting to taper down a little bit.
Well, a lot of folks were on the edge of their DTI, debt to income ratio, and now with the interest rate inflating, it just pushed them over the edge. And now they have to search for a lower cost home, which right now there's almost none to existence.
So part of our issue, though, is also that we're considered to be in the Sun Belt, and so the relocations into the Sun Belt have been rocking, and so the areas with the highest number of relocations from out of state is going to be Phoenix, Tampa, and Atlanta. We're right up there in the top ones, kind of thing. And so you can see that in these areas, property value appreciations have been higher. Can't seem to speak today. But a lot of that is driven by out of towners, because for our local folks, you think, man, these prices are going crazy. If you're coming in out of New York or California,
we're great.
It's like, man, this is a good deal here.
All right.
So now, as far as and so this shows the total, where we rank number 10 in the United States on just the number of inflow users. And so
New York is our top 26%, which is huge.
Yeah,
that's coming down, and I think partially it's due to their state taxes that they have raised.
But they got Georgia on their mind.
That's right.
There we go. So
love New York, but Georgia on their mind.
Yeah, there we go. So the other thing that we've seen is, this shows the number of buyers historically, since 2017. How many folks are considering moving out of their market? And you can see the number of folks who are searching outside of their market has been, it definitely shot up during COVID, and then it tapered back down a little bit, but it's still way elevated from where it is. And so we're seeing that more and more. We're seeing where folks may have used to, like the average move in Georgia has been 16 miles for a long time, 14 to 16 miles. And now we're starting to see, is that, or we're waiting to see, I guess,
Right.
is that trend going to change a little bit there? This past week, mortgage rates reached their highest level since 2009. And
Y'all,
so,
this is not like a scary rate right now. It's just that we've been so spoiled with the 2.5 or a little less if you have great credit.
ridiculous, yeah. No, not ridiculous,
Versus,
but great.
yeah, versus the 5.5 where we were prior to pandemic.
But they are reaching really, really high levels. We know that now.
We're back up to where we were
When I say
before.
really high levels compared to where we were. And so it's been that knee-jerk reaction, right?
And listing agent, just so you know, you may want to consult with your buyer seller who is want a very high price for their property and may be giving concession at this point and repairs, because I can tell you right now, buyer don't have the money to come in and make all the down payment, make all the closing costs and repairs.
Yep. So, part of this increase was driven by the Fed. The Fed, and when I say part of it, like the Fed raised the benchmark interest rate, and they raised it by a half point, which is a substantial increase. Normally they go in quarter points, and so they went by a half point. They're trying to fight inflation. And so at the same time, they're going to be reducing their bond holdings out there. And so, but our interest rates are not tied directly to this. But you can say, well, Alan, the Fed raised the rates and interest rates right up. Well, you got to understand what happened. So when the Fed raised the federal funds rate, well, first day the stock market did great, but the second day, the stock market crashed. Wham! All the gains from the day before got wiped out. And investors, whenever there's times and troubles in, on Wall Street, they tend to move over into treasuries, and our interest rates are tied closely to the 10-year treasury. And so when everyone moved into treasuries went up, interest rates went up. And so that's pretty much one of those things that really drove our interest rates last week. We expect that the Feds are going to keep moving interest rates as the year goes on to keep trying to fight inflation. They're trying to put just a little bit of water on the burning brush fire that is our economy right now. The economy is doing really good, but it's going so good that's why we're starting to get inflation. So you can kind of see where, and Ming kind of, touched on this, that, average rates over, this is rates over the last 30 years. Gosh, how about October 1981, 18.86, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, are we in really bad shape?
Not
really.
No,
not comparatively.
but we've just been spoiled for last couple of years during the pandemic.
But you can see that, and so one other thing that we're seeing is, mortgage rates right now, the mortgage companies have jumped up higher than the Fed. In the red lines you can see in here, this shows when the Fed has raised the interest rates. And so you can kind of see it doesn't necessarily work item for item, but it worked, they tend to follow somewhat along those lines. But when you look at right now, the Fed has raised the rates to a half point. But when you look at what interest rates have done, I mean, we're talking about like it's almost vertical when you look at that. So there's a lot of built-in higher interest rates way above where we're at on the federal funds rate. Now, that being said, do we expect that the Feds are going to be leaving interest rates here? No. I mean,
they got to recoup somehow as well, right, like everybody else.
But you can see in 92, in 98, in 2004 and 5, all the way in 2016, when they raise rates, 2, 3, 4 points. Over time, it really keeps moving up, and that will affect those rates inadvertently as well. So we kind of got to be ready for that. But now I pulled some really interesting information I want to share with you in that. So does raising rates hurt home values? Guess what? It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. So if you look at these are all the times when we've seen jumps in the interest rate, and it goes all the way back. Some are actually, crazy ridiculous. If you look in the 80s, from 8 to 16%. Well, at the same time, home prices jumped 50%. But you can see when interest rates have gone up, property values haven't. Okay, and that's the big thing that we have to understand. So when people say, is housing going to crash? Is the housing market going to hurt? Like what's going on with housing? Are we going to have a lot of housing? Is there going to be foreclosures? Stuff like that. Look, just because interest rates are going up does not mean that property values are going down. Matter of fact, the exact opposite.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody got to have a place to live. So what it does is that it makes a buyer sit back rather than being qualified today. They may qualify 6 months because they got to save up some money in order to do their down payment
Yeah.
and their closing costs.
So, but in contrast to property values, what we do see coming up, and not only we do, but also National Association of Realtors does. So this is that it can hurt volume.
Absolutely.
And so if you're looking at and so this just came out. Lawrence Yun just released this, and as far as like you can see what's happened in 20 and 21 on home price growth versus unit sales. Well, we're looking at home prices still moving up by about 8% for the year. However, they're looking at unit sales down about 9%. And so, we're looking at almost a net wash there.
Just based on your graph earlier, yeah. I mean, it's indicative of what's going on right now.
And then we're looking at and looking at 2023, they're looking at the number of sales kind of flattening out and still seeing modest price appreciation, which that 4% price appreciation, that's like normal. That's how it normally, 3 to 5% is like a very normal thing.
Is only going to apply to property that is truly move-in ready and truly well staged. So for the folks that haven't, I'm going to sell as is, not do anything, you're not going to see that appreciation at all.
Well, now, so that brings us up to the next question. Is it now a good time to buy? And you have to understand that even though interest rates, that kind of stuff, like this is what's happened to property values, median sales, prices of homes sold for the last 50 years. And you can see it's a pretty steady trend. And so either you're going to be part of that trend or you're going to get run over by it. The other thing is
you'll forever rent. Yeah. And I'm telling you, rent is the rates is off.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because if you look at this is the household wealth of renters versus homeowners. And so if you rented in 2016, you have basically zero. If you rented in 2019, you have $6,300. If you rented in 2021, you have $8,000. And
that $8,000, a lot of it came from stimulus money. It's not because people have saved.
But I mean, it's just so drastic.
It is
the average household wealth of a homeowner versus a renter. This is why redlining was such a big impact in a long time ago, and why home ownership is so powerful. Like if you want to help someone improve economically, have them buy a home. Okay. Absolutely. Wealth in the United States is highly tied to this. And so if you look at staying renter is not a great deal. Property values are going to keep increasing. Interest rates are going to keep increasing. Is this a good time to buy?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. That's the thing. So if you wait, you're not going to save yourself if you wait. The other thing that we want to really touch on here is that, anytime that we keep seeing property appreciation, people are going to be like, hey, is this, it's just a bubble. It's just going to be happening. So, the 2008 crisis, what happened with the housing crisis, we helped create that one. That's not this time.
Well, everybody's getting along as long as you have percentage down.
Well, I mean, let's look at it. So right now we have like crazy stronger lending standards.
Absolutely.
My dog could buy a house in 2007. Okay, I mean, seriously, pretty much. I mean, it was stated income, that kind of stuff. Just kidding. Right now we have much higher credit scores. We have a much higher personal savings rate. Our properties are not leveraged. Back then we had so many properties that were leveraged. We had so many folks that had removed a lot of equity out of their homes. Our mortgage delinquency rate is historically low. I mean, really low.
Even with the moratorium, the rent with the landlords basically saw it and basically evicted the tenant that currently are not paying, obviously, and got some relief from the federal government.
Yeah, but we see increasing wages, a really low unemployment rate. Right now, our household debt to income ratio is at a 40-year low, and our household equity is at a 30-year high. So again, are we really looking at this being like 2007, 2006 all over again? No, we aren't. We really aren't. So we want to kind of wrap up. So relaunches this week in our Fayetteville office. I'll be here Monday, Wednesday, and Ming's here Friday So today I'm teaching Ultimate Buyer System. That's virtual and in person. Tomorrow we have our monthly sales meeting, and that's live in all of our
Join us.
offices. Please come in. Wednesday, I'm teaching also the Ultimate Listing System, virtually and in person. Thursday, we have Ming and Bill Miller are going to actually be teaching estates, divorces, investors, and companies who can sign a contract, which is the longest name in the world, but it's actually a
But
really
it's
cool
really
class.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of give you an understanding of a different segment of real estate.
Yep. And so that's going to be
That's
you know,
a hey,
in
that's
person
the
in our
first
McDonough
class
office.
that we taught in this subject, and let me tell you, it's a really good one. It's especially for those of you that wants to know how to go about and getting some of these properties.
Yes. And then on Friday, we're back here in the Fayetteville office, virtually in person. Take me to close and show me the money. We'll have the closing attorney. We'll have lenders in here. So it's just going to be really good stuff. So we hope you guys have a great week. And
for those of our age, and really quick, Katie Core, sorry, you just knocked it off. We do have quick training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So please if you have not done it, please take time to do it. Yep. And thank you for joining us today, and happy Monday.
Have a great week. Bye, y'all.